Hello, everybody, and welcome to GM Prep Faction Turn for Stars Without Number, Phantom Horizons, our Stars Without Number campaign. So I don't know how proper Faction Turn this is going to be, and how much it's just going to be kind of me talking and reminiscing and talking about the final episode of the season of season 1 of Stars Without Number, but I figure I'll start talking and we'll see where we go, and maybe I'll do some proper faction-y turn stuff. But last time on Stars Without Number, oh boy, a lot happened. The group continued to deal with the fallout of the Vivero Project mine station being blown up. I haven't taken it off of here yet. Oh, no, wrong one. Yeah, Vivero Project. They were mining gas, the Axiom core, and the party investigated, the Spacers investigated. They learned some deep, dark secrets about Axiom Core. They were doing some illegal human experimentation. So they got the data and they jumped, and then the next thing they heard, the station blew up. So they hop all around here for a little bit. And they finally end up back at the Ruby Lighthouse, which is where they started. And it was their base of operations. It's where Freya feels most at home. It's where she has a lot of contacts. So they've been there the last couple of sessions. And finally, something broke extra bad. It had been breaking bad for a bit. Something broke extra bad. And yeah, so Freya and her sidekick's the wrong word, but her Guy Friday, which I believe is her second character, essentially named Guy Friday, because I believe we also had a Gal Friday at some point. But Guy Friday, they both get fired from the Merchants Consortium. And there's a bunch of kind of talking amongst the players, and it's a very good and sweet episode. And eventually, through Timothy's character, Lucifer, aka Wally's contacts, his contacts believe that the Merchants Consortium is behind the explosion, and that this is all some sort of cover-up. And after Freya had been fired, they jumped to the Hurt system. Oops, over here. Or, Now 13, the Hurt planet, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And she gets a message delivered that says that it's all just been a big misunderstanding, and that she needs to come back and they can work it all out. And it's from her mother. So things have gotten complicated in the penultimate episode of Stars Without Number. And I cannot wait to see where this all goes at the end of the season. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about next season as well. I haven't really talked about that with the players, but there will be a next season. I hope. But my intention is to have a next season. And there's a way I can do it even if some of the players can't make it, and we'll talk about that in a second. So they're jumping to Hurt, which is a planet they haven't been to before. TL4. No native biosphere burning. and it's got a breathable mix. So I believe, I do have to rewatch last episode. Yes, Marty in chat says you will be canceled by Fox almost certainly. But the good thing is, in the year 2019, you'll be picked up by a streaming service that will eventually be bought by Disney. Or you'll be on HBO Max or something to compete with The Expanse from Amazon. So I had to rewatch the end of the last episode, but I think what I said, yes, you'll be on CISO. Poor CISO. I think they were bought. I think they were bought by someone. But I think I said that. Oh no, that might have been planned over here. That had, the seagoing cities with no native biosphere. I think what I'm gonna have for this one is little pockets of terraformed areas that are kind of. It's kind of I've never seen it, but I am familiar with it. Total Recall, the kind of the domed cities of Mars. So the planet around them is burning. It's Venus. But there are these little domed cities and big underground colonies, which is what this planet has. There's also a little refueling station, Skida 5. Skida's a Pokemon, isn't it? Which has a half-crazed hermit caretaker. That'd be fun to roleplay. And a ship in severe distress. That may be them. So that they may not have to go to the refueling station. Okay, hurt. Let's see. Anything down here? So there's another gas giant mine. What's that? Sitinskaya. Formed by the Soviets, I guess. 2 moons, a research base, Bronkhorst, formed by the Germans, I guess. Ares 6, yeah. Oh, that's good too. Okay, so Hurt is billed as a utopia. Natural and social conditions have made it a paradise for its inhabitants, and they have some sort of fancy local tech, a unique local resource kind of thing. So I think what it's going to be is their unique local resource has put them in such a position, and they're sort of, down here at the edge of the sector, they can kind of get away with some stuff. Their unique local resource, which I will decide in a minute, has afforded them the ability to essentially buy themselves a utopia. So it's sort of Star Trek-y, but a little more. There's a bit of a shady side to it. There will be. I like this one. The tech has poorly understood side effects. Yep. It's okay now, but smoking's bad for you or whatever. You shouldn't have too much Psy-Pops. They hurt your Psy brain. I don't know. But it's allowed them to build and buy enough stuff that they have a little utopia here. Perhaps the production is automated at this point, and they don't have too much to do. So the spacers will be coming here, and we'll see how they deal with it. This is the first world that's sort of that's not tied in to the Merchants Consortium or had its own tensions among it. There will still be tensions because there are tensions everywhere, but this is sort of outside of the realm of where the spacers have been before. It's going to be different. And we'll see how long they stay there. They might get there, talk about it, and pop back to the lighthouse, although they will have to refuel. And Zephyr might want to, when they get some money, some real burnable income, Zephyr might want to invest in a faster ship, a faster engine. They did just get a big old gun they have to install. So I haven't done a faction turn in a while, but I don't think I want to do one again. I think I want to end the season and then do a big one. And also, all the players have to level up. They probably should have leveled up a couple sessions ago, and I forgot. So I was toying with the idea, but because this is a new system for everyone, for all of us, I don't want to do it. But I was toying with the idea of off-season they would get 2 levels. But unless I can organize sort of perhaps a mid-quill, it might not even be streamed, where we could kind of go through them leveling up once and then leveling up again, because I don't want to throw anyone into the deep end level-wise. I don't think the system is so complicated that they wouldn't be able to do it. All of my players are certainly smart and can handle it, but it's a lot for a system we don't know that well. Like, in Dungeons & Dragons, if you've never played before, I suggest you start at level 1 and you go to level 2 and level 3. If you've played for years, level 1's boring. But if you've never played, level 1 is a teaching experience, as is level 2, and so forth. And then by the time you get to level 3, you've gotten a hang of the game. By the time you get to level 5, you probably know enough of what's going on that you start to understand the complicated abilities you are starting to get, the extra attacks, the better spells. So, pardon me. So I don't want to throw anyone into the deep end. At the same time, I kind of think it would be cool to see... Now, there's a break between seasons. This is 6 months later. Where is everyone now? They've gotten a lot better. The other thing is, if anyone wanted to switch characters, I would allow them to do that off-season, because it's sort of like it's a cast change. If everyone wanted to switch characters, Phantom Horizons is an ensemble, is a anthology show set in the sector, and they could do whatever they want. But I will bring that up to them soon. I keep meaning to, but I wanted to wait until we were done the season. But I will talk about, and when we're done this season, I want to talk more about what are we going to do next, and where we go, what are we looking forward to. I personally am looking forward to going somewhere else, going to one of these other planets, kind of leaving this little bottom section of space, perhaps going to the core, perhaps going to these outer reaches. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how everything goes. Hopefully. Oh, the other thing is, if anyone dies in the last episode somehow, I'm not saying that's a possibility, but, well, I am a firm believer in, I will never try and kill your character. I will never build an encounter that tries to kill your character. I will never purposefully stack the deck against you. But if you get yourself into a situation where you might get killed, I won't always pull my punches. This game is deadly. The players have been mostly smart and avoided combat, or they were in a situation that combat was averted for them, like when Zephyr charged the mech, or Lucifer was planning, before he saw Zephyr charging, was going to throw a box. I wasn't going to kill them with the mech. I did plan on kind of showing that it's scary, and I feel like that did come across, because Zephyr's wild psychic trait triggered, which I loved that she invoked that then. But they could have gotten into a fight in the last episode where they were escaping again. But I think it was Lucifer was very clever, and he avoided a combat for them. Pardon me. So I am just looking. I really love this group. I love how they've come together. I love how different they all are. I am curious to see how they all pull out of this, how they deal with some of this stuff, and if next season what they do, if they stick together, or if they get a new crew, or what and where next season will go, and we'll talk about that I want to talk about with the players, and perhaps even we'll have like a season 2 session 0. But because we only play once a month, maybe not. But Mondays always need more content. So there's all that, and there's other games I want to set in the Phantom Horizons sector. There's still a Cyberpunk game I want to play here. I think. Yeah, I think Eno. Just gonna change that to Eno. The Eno system. The Brian Eno system. I believe that was where I was going to have the Cyberpunk planet, but it also would fit very well in the core somewhere. That I have an idea for a 7th Sanctum only game. Who are the Psychics? And yeah, it's just... Oh, you know what? Hold on. Something happened to hurt in the faction turn. Oh well. Oops. I have to go back to the Olympus sector and build that some more. Oh boy. I don't know. Let me save one of my notes. Honestly don't know if I have that much more to say. Which is not good. I'm going to have to find something to talk about. Let's see. Helpful. My notes are terrible. The final episode of the season is Into the Fire Part 2. So that tells you a little bit about what's going on. It's been interesting to run sort of... I didn't know what this group was going to be like from the start, and they've ended up been very industrial espionage. And I like that. It's a different... it's interesting. It's different. I mean, the first mission I sent them on was industrial espionage, but then they sort of took that and wielded it interesting. I gotta stop using the word interesting. My wife is an art professor, and I think they try and shape students away from saying everything is interesting. I'll have to ask her how they do that, but because it's a word I know I overuse. But I like that they kind of went that way, because Stars Without Number, as it's designed, I keep tapping my tablet because that's where the rule book is. Stars Without Number, as it's designed, is a hex crawl, which is why we have a little hex here. You go to a system, you explore it, you find out all that it's about. The thing with this is it's not the hugest of hexes. I could make it bigger. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Sectors must have... Okay, so you can do... So if I wanted to make it as big as I wanted... Wow, that's pretty big. 20 by 20 is as big as... That's pretty cool. Yamaha row. Okay. Oh, I didn't save it. Damn. Oh well. So yeah. Yeah, it's designed as a hex crawl, and you kind of do the exploration, and you go to planets, and you see what's on them. But they've been very poppy back and forth, which is interesting. And they've been malleable and both indecisive and decisive. It's like this. It's this weird. Now I'm noticing I use it so much. It's this weird, fascinating mix between being in over their head and always having a plan. It's half the party doesn't know what to do, half the party has an idea, half the party is afraid, and not literally necessarily. In these cases, it might be 3 versus 1, or 1, but I'm not trying to project or intuit anyone's emotions necessarily, but it's just been this really great mix of everything. It's been, we don't know what we're doing, but we have to do something. We pulled the pin on this grenade, and we have to do something about it, and it's bad, and we can't just let them get away with it, but we have nothing we can do, so we try and do something about it. And it's just been, but what do you do? It's the big guy versus the little guy, and it's just been great. And if you've never seen our Phantom Horizons show, I'm going to just continue to gush about it, because but the players are just amazing, and they are all killing it. They're 4 great people. They've built people. And I don't mean that to imply that their other characters throughout the streams are not people, but because of the nature of this game, where it's not, even though they have psychic powers, because they're so fragile and because they're so afraid, they feel like people. And again, I don't mean that as an insult to the other characters, because let's say on Task Force Unlikely, they still feel like people, but they're also heroes. They're people who have stared down Orcus and lived to tell about it. They made a deal with Shemeshka the Marauder. They're level 9. They're a long way from being just average folk, whereas everyone here feels like an average person in over their head, and it's great. I know in old World of Darkness games, you could kind of evoke that same feeling in a couple of them, especially if you played Mortals. But I love that they built people first, RPG characters second, like worrying about all the numbers second. Again, I'm not trying to demean playing with the numbers first. That's great. You want to build some sort of space monk in this system? Go ahead. That's rad. When I built a couple test characters for this. All of mine they typically were like snipers or explosive experts or pilots. I did look at the class stuff first, but I typically do that. That's how I build characters. I look at what class I want to play, and then I fill in a backstory around that. And yeah, it's just been great. I'll just continue to gush. And pardon me. I just continue to not be able to wait until they would do what's next. If I could get the schedules to work, I would probably play this game every week. I might go crazy with trying to prepare it every week, just because I do find the games that I'm less familiar with to be harder to prepare. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on stream, but I find Call of Cthulhu to be the hardest game we play to prepare. Followed probably by Bubble Gumshoe, and I believe that is because they are both mysteries, and mysteries are hard. It makes sense in your head. You just have to be able to produce enough clues that it's not obvious, but it still makes sense. And I honestly will say I don't know if I did that very well in either of the Bubble Gumshoe games, especially. They were both hysterically fun. But mysteries are hard, and I'm having a hard time with them. And this ultimately is a big old mystery. This one is a mystery. But for some reason, because there's not like a because it's not an investigative game, that somehow takes the pressure off of the mystery for me. I don't know why. Because in D&D I can run mysteries too, but yeah, and Call of Cthulhu is a system and a genre I'm not necessarily the most familiar with. Stars Without Number, I love science fiction. I have for ever. It's my first genre love. Like, I was into sci-fi before I was into fantasy. Like, I probably got into fantasy with the Lord of the Rings movies. Sorry, books. But I'm a Star Wars fan from way back, so that's arguably just fantasy. But yeah, I'm trying to think as a kid. Oh no, the Narnia. Yeah, the Narnia books. And then, sort of as an adult or young person, young adult. Lord of the Rings movies came out 20 years ago. I was not an adult 20 years ago, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Marty. In those games, the Bubblegum Shoe and Call of Cthulhu's Call of Cthulhu, the mystery is the whole thing. In here in Dungeons and Dragons, mystery is just one of the things. And I do feel like it's given more of a chance to kind of be on its own and breathe, and yeah, it just stresses me out less. And granted, I think Twilight Trails has been great fun. If I am being critical of myself, there is one episode I think is actually poorly run by me. And it was the episode in the village ruins. I think I just led them around in a circle, and that's not helpful. But I do think the last two sessions have been a little more focused, even if last session it was I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. The session 2 sessions ago was excellent in my opinion, and last session was also good. And I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back. It's all the players. In the last two, they just were great. And again, I take no credit for, well, that's not fair. I take some credit for Phantom Horizons, but I put most of the credit onto the players. And they're just killing it. Again, can't say enough how great they are. And if you've never watched and you're just listening to me ramble, well, thank you, first of all. And second of all, after I'm done rambling, please check it out. And check out all of the quality content we have at Laughing Dragon Inn. Star Chasers and Task Force Unlikely kill it on an every other week basis. And they both just had, in my opinion, their best episodes. So, yeah, I'm just excited for Stars Without Number. I want to play more of the system. I want to run more in the system. I want to have the players experience more. Like I said, I want them to and if they don't want to leave down here, they don't have to. We might go to Hurt and find it's fascinating. They might love it there. They might decide to stay. And it's factionless. There's here and here. The Merchants Consortium's in charge. What's over here? The Good Neighbors. Didn't I get rid of the Good Neighbors? Oh, I can't remember. Down here, they can perhaps start something new. We'll have to see what their plan is for the last episode. And the last episode of the season looks like it will be on Monday, December 9th right now, which will be a day where 4 out of the 5 of us have just gotten back from PAX Unplugged. So it might be a little loopy. But it was supposed to be next week, but we couldn't. That fell through. So that's I don't want a player to be missing for the last episode. So we're gonna move it. Yeah, we're wrapping up lots of things for the season. There's 2 episodes of Star Chasers left. There's 1 episode of Task Force Unlikely left for the year. And I'm not going to have those be seasons quite like this. I felt like this worked well as a seasonal format because it was structured like a science fiction television show. And that was an easy way to structure it in my head. Yeah. So... Yeah. Boy. This has just been a lot of me gushing, but it's also been me talking about prep and sort of the differences between campaigns, which is half of what these videos turn out to be. I swear one day I'm going to actually like write a script and have GM videos. I was talking to Krista about one the other day, which is like about the different types of GMs. Because I feel like there's lots of videos about the different kinds of players. You know, the power gamer, the actor, the backstory crafter. But, you know, there are different kinds of dungeon masters. The dungeon master, kind of the classic, runs dungeons. The socio-political one, the murderer. The backstory backstabber, that's me. But yeah. Boy, I just can't say enough good stuff about this game. And this system, I really am enjoying the system. I will be honest, I have not deep dived it as much as I should, because the basics of it are very simple, and then there's a lot of grit in there. And I think it almost like hides the grit under how basic the game is, because it's an OSR game. It's not meant to be complicated. But you can turn off lots of it, which I like. It's very modular. You don't have to use the faction turn. You don't really have to use a lot of the spaceship building rules. You can kind of just be like, this is your spaceship, it does this much damage. And I think I just haven't gotten into some of the granularity of it to truly understand it. I know how to run it, the basics of it, but not understanding the granularity of it, maybe I don't know how to run it. And that is, I think, important. That might be why I have a little bit of a problem with Call of Cthulhu as well. Because I've had, I know everyone loves Powered by the Apocalypse games. I didn't love them when I ran them a couple times. I only run one. Marty ran one, and I ran Masks, and he ran Monster of the Week. I think that's it, right? Yeah. I'm looking at my shelf. I have Urban Shadows, but I've never run it. I've got 2 Blades in the Dark games. Blades in the Dark and Scum and Villainy. I have to read those too. During the break, maybe I'll actually get to really read some of these systems. Which the break will be like 3 or 4 weeks this year. It will be sizable, but I think we're putting out a lot more content, and I think it will behoove everyone to spend time and recharge and all that jazz. Plus, the holidays are stressful, and you don't need to be worried about a Dungeons & Dragons game. Making sure you can make it, and making sure your character doesn't die, and why am I sending you to Hades, and all that. Or why are you not going to Hades if you've decided in a pretty baller role-playing move to just be like, no, I'm not doing the mission. It takes guts. I loved it. Oh boy. I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, but I haven't played or run enough Powered by the Apocalypse where I think I understand it, because I don't think I understand what the system is good at. Whereas I can see what the Call of Cthulhu system is good at. I just need to immerse myself in it a little more. I see that it's a skill-based system, and that it helps players figure out the mystery. There's a bunch of stuff. Same thing with Gumshoe and Bubble Gumshoe. It's you are built to solve a mystery. Yeah. Hello, Timothy. So it's the long and the short of it. I do think, I'm torn. I don't think I want to do a full faction turn, but I think I'm going to mess around with some stuff in here. So let's get going on to that. So, and I might have to get up and get a drink at some point because I forgot how parched these solo episodes make me. And I'm running out of my drink from dinner. Okay. So let's see. The Eno system. Let's change this. Let's make this the... edit. What's Rising Hegemon mean? The world is not yet a dominant power in the sector, but it's well on the rise. Nah. I do think Abandoned Colony works well for a cyberpunk kind of feel. Shackled World? That might be cool. This world is being systematically contained by an outside power. Some ancient autonomous defense grid, robot law, influence, alien artifact, or other force is preventing the locals from developing certain technologies, such as interstellar flight. I think a lot of what makes cyberpunk appealing is sort of the claustrophobia of it. How neon and crimey and built up these cities are. And if the idea is that they can't leave the planet, perhaps that works well. I think I'm going to do that. And then that it was an abandoned colony. Perhaps before the Scream, it was a colony. Abandoned, and then it became shackled. I'm going to change the planet name because I don't like it. Zig. So the tech level is high, but they just can't leave the planet. Maybe there is just a laser defense grid around the planet where you can build a spaceship, but you can't fly it through there without being sliced into a million pieces. Let's change the name of the moon. The Maz moon. Pen. Man, soul. Polo's already a thing in here. Goss. That's good. And then the moon base has lonely overseers and robot miners and a moon plague. So perhaps the moon is less shackled, but I'm going to change the moon plague. I'm going to leave the situation blank. The lonely overseers and robot miners. So perhaps that you can leave from the moon, but you can't leave from the planet. Okay. The refueling station. Brainless automated vendors. I'm going to change the situation again. So you go to the fueling station, it's just all robots, and you're like, and perhaps there are warnings plastered everywhere that you should not go to the station or the planet. It's not safe. So I think the Brian Eno system will be our cyberpunk planet if that ever comes up. See if I can tag it. Create layer. Themed planets. Adventure locations. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I am still trying to figure this out. Eno? Oh no, okay, wait. Edit name. Cyberpunk. And in honor of Cyberpunk Red, we will make it red. So, oh, here we go. There we go, perfect. Okay, excellent. So, let me look at the other systems. Okay, edit. I'm going to paint you. So that's where all of the cyberpunk planets can be, and I can can I not hide it? I thought I could hide it. Is hidden. And it might be hidden from my players. Oh, is hidden from my players. But I don't want to be able to see it right now. There we go. Okay. Okay. I just have to like click on. There we go. Okay. Okay. So let's cancel. Let's keep going with adventure locations. So where's the 7th Sanctum hanging out? Or is that the one I didn't build? Oh, no, I did. Nalsita. It's like poo. It's like blue. Okay. And region. Psionics. Okay, we're going to make you purple, because that's what color the 7th Sanctum are. There we go. Okay. Gotta keep, not create, keeping. There we go. And then my last one. For lack of a better term, dungeon crawl. Yellow works. That's going to be... Oops. Here. 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 Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. I'll remember one of these days. Okay, so time to lean, you got time to clean. Okay, let's see. Let me think. Okay, so that's because I really want to play a Cyberpunk game. I've been watching Seth Gorkowski videos for a long time, and he talks about Cyberpunk 2020 a lot. And there's one adventure in particular I want to run in a Cyberpunk game, and then there's another one that I thought sounded pretty cool that he's talked about before. And I've thought about getting Cyberpunk Red, but something that turns me off a little bit about it is the rules aren't complete yet. So the starter set isn't just like the Dungeons and Dragons or Call of Cthulhu starter set where it's like basic rules and they'll be that you can get more intricate rules in the player's handbook. There is no player's handbook out for Cyberpunk Red yet, and the starter set rules are like just straight up incomplete. Like there's no character creation rules. The classes don't have their perk features yet. It just doesn't rub me the right way. And I thought about modding it, like reading old Cyberpunk and then figuring out what the classes do, and I was just like, oh, boy, that's a lot of work. Yeah, whereas this system's complete. Or I could just play Cyberpunk 2020. I don't have to play Cyberpunk Red. But and then I have to get those rules. It's fine. Anyway. I want to play Cyberpunk is the point, and I thought it would be nice to put it in the Phantom Horizons verse, just as we have built a Forgotten Realms that has a bunch of interconnected stories going through it, both in the online games, and then stuff from my home games has sort of built the very foundation of the world state. So yeah. Let's see. What else can I do? I wanted to go for about an hour tonight. So 10 more minutes. Let's see. Yeah. Poke at the Olympus sector, or look at the factions. Real fast. There's one I'm missing. Who am I missing? Ow, of course this isn't my one document. It's not my rule or my my Phantom Horizons notes don't have my world building notes in them. Let's see. That's another thing I need, a better note system. Let's see. I think yeah, here we go. Let's see, Pax Terra. I got rid of the Lunar Remnant, Ultima Thule. I don't have Vivictus. So, let's create Vivictus. Create function. Because they're kind of important right now. Boy. Let's see. They're sort of a big deal, so they're going to be Force 8s, Cunning 5, Wealth 7. Homeworld is an orbital ruin. That sounds rad. Ruhia 5. Yeah, faction color, we're going to make them black. Because their logo's black with a red. bird on it. Right now, they're hostile, but it's not... They're not, like, uber hostile. It's just the situation is they're hostile right now. So where is that? Okay, here. Any other factions there already? Ooh, who's there? Ooh, the lensed star. Oh, no, wait, that's not right. Okay, that's good. Yeah, and then I gotta give them assets. So, okay, assets. All right, it's assets, add assets. Okay. Beachhead Landers, base of influence. Oh, shit. I mean, shoot. Blockade fleets. Capital fleets. Cyber ninjas. Elite skirmishers. I'm just going to put them all in the orbital ruin because that's easier. Oh, no. Oh, no, no. Okay, that's good for now. What? Oh, no. I was like, those aren't all... Yeah, force. Okay. I really want to tweak this. I want to go back and listen to all of what I have said over the episodes on the faction turns and kind of actively compile it into a document, because right now I'm treating it a little bit like, well, I'm treating it like old Star Wars canon where there are levels to it. Whatever happens in the show is the most canon. Stuff I say on the faction turns is probably canon unless a player or I contradict it on the show, and then that is canon. So it's like old Star Wars canon where if it's in a movie it's the most, if it's in a book it's the second most, if it's in a comic it's the third most, and all that nonsense. I'm glad they did away with that. And though I don't love everything that is the new canon, it was nice to have started with a fresh slate. There was a lot of stuff in Legends, the EU, just wasn't good. Like, I know... there's also lots of cool stuff. Kyle Katarn is fun and cool. Thrawn was rad, but they tend to save the rad stuff. The Solo twins, they are essentially Kylo and Rey, though Rey is not, we think, is not a proper Solo Skywalker. That's essentially the story there, but now they're lovey, possibly. And so, anyway, of course I got on a Star Wars tangent. Anyway, I got very mad yesterday. I was at Saturday. I was at like an antique store, and they had a Funko Pop, and it was Wedge Antilles in a snowspeeder, and I just stared at it and said, "Well, what about Wes Jansen? He's the gunner. He takes down those ATs or AT, however you want to say it." Because controversial opinion, who cares? It's fine both ways. Imperial Walkers. Ow, I keep doing that. Okay. On that Star Wars tirade, this looks weird when you have all of the layers on at once. I'm going to turn them off. Useful, especially because when you drag your thing over it. It tells you which one is which, because I would never remember what color is what. But I'm going to turn them off for now. Yeah. Okay. I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Sorry this was not more structured. Tired. And I'm feeling Thanksgiving week already. And I was feeling very reflective on where this group has gone, because though it does not seem it, it's been approximately 8 months of playing this game, because they play about once a month. So, and I just, was feeling very reflective about it, especially with the last episode of the season coming up and how proud I am of this show. And all of our shows, I do stand by that statement earlier that, I wouldn't lie to you. I am proud of every show we do on this channel. But anyway, this has been me rambling. I hope you can forgive my sneeze. I hope you got some enjoyment out of this. I hope it wasn't too weird or annoying to live in my head for an hour. This week on Star Chasers, they're interviewing interns, and I cannot wait, because it is going to be fun and silly and ridiculous and awesome and maybe heartfelt. Who even knows? The last episode was all of those things. And then the week after that is Task Force Unlikely's final episode of the year, Promises to Keep. And if you did not watch last episode of Task Force Unlikely, go watch it, because they killed it. And yeah, next week there will be something on Monday. Probably Andy Makes a Friend. I haven't decided what yet. If I can figure out how, it might just be me drawing maps. But that requires me to set up a camera with my phone, and that may not look good. But I got a little notebook I like, and I've been doodling little maps in it. You know what I could do? It might be Andy Makes a Friend, one of my homebrews. Because I'm currently working on 4 different homebrew worlds. One of them we have seen on stream before. Bide. Fate's Cove. That's my oldest and most traditional fantasy homebrew. The second one is called The Shattered Kingdoms. It was Bide in the future, and then I realized that that implies that adventurers fail to save Bide from being shattered, so it takes away their agency. So I've decided to just make it a separate planet in the same sphere, so they share all the same gods and some of the same lore and backstory. But it's essentially, there is a golden city that floats above the planet, and at some point it crashed into the middle of the planet, and which also means that adventurers did not save this planet, but you never had the option to play in the past of this planet. The city crashes, and there is a giant storm that surrounds it, and there's dozens or hundreds of islands broken up from the giant land masses that used to be continents. So it's a sailing, going from island to island campaign. That one, the Bide, Fate's Cove, is very much inspired by like my historical loves. There's a lot of I know that you kind of get. I'm not trying to say that they are one for one fantasy culture versions of these cultures, because that's not. I know that's not necessarily kosher, but they are inspired heavily by English, Irish, Welsh, and Scottish, Egyptian, Polynesian, and Atlantis, because I fucking love Atlantis. That's Bide. Shattered Kingdoms is very much inspired by Golden Sun and Mega Man Legends. That's a lot of, weirdly enough, where that is inspired from. The third one, which I was poking at pretty hard and then I kind of fell off on, is called Boot Underhill, and it is fantasy Wild West. Plus some steampunk Victorian stuff. So the basic premise of that is your civilization is on a moon, and you have essentially strip mined. It's Victorian, like a giant sort of steampunk Coruscant planet. And you've essentially strip mined the whole planet, so you have no more resources. So you build spelljammers or airships, and you fly to the planet below. And that planet is full of resources, but also very dangerous. So it's kind of the frontier and a big fantasy Wild West style planet, with terrifying monsters and perhaps ancient ruins that have been long abandoned. But you build a little frontier town, and there are warforged. They've been built as early settlers because they don't require food or water as much, or if at all. And yeah, sure, giant mechanical spiders, because that's what the Wild West is all about. Thanks a lot, McG, or whatever the hell the directed Wild Wild West. And then the last one is called Suburbia, and it's a modern D&D game, very much inspired by Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, Miyazaki movies, and Shin Megami Tensei. Which I claim to be no expert in any of, but I was thinking about all of them the other day, and Shin Megami Tensei is kind of a later addition to this, because I wanted it to be, because I reread Neverwhere, and I was like, this is a great D&D world, but I didn't want it to be sort of so Victorian, is a lot of what Neverwhere is, so I wanted it to be straight up modern. And that's a lot of Shin Megami Tensei of, there are demons and stuff, but you capture them in your cell phone, ostensibly. Like, it's just weird. But yeah, no, it's fantasy lost in a subway. Exactly, Marty. Nailed it. Am I back? It looks like I'm back. I don't know if anyone can see this. But let me see. There we go. Okay, I think it's back up. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I was ending the episode. I totally lost whatever steam I had. I will probably, for next Andy Makes a Friend, talk about one of those, and they are all in various stages of world building. Bide is the most complete. Oh, thank you, Marty. You see me. Okay, good. Bide is the most complete. It has a full campaign Bible. It's not a long campaign Bible, but it has a full campaign Bible with descriptions of all of the countries, important leaders, and a timeline. The Shattered Kingdoms is the second most developed, partially because it shares a pantheon with the first one, and but it is also, a lot of the world is not mapped because I created 100 islands for it, and I didn't create 100 different little islands right away, because I would create them as players go. And then Boot Underhill and Suburbia Boot Underhill is more developed than Suburbia. Suburbia is literally a list of ideas. Like, and I talked about this with Cece the other day, because I was asking her if she had ever read Neverwhere. But I kind of decided that just dragons are just bureaucrats, and each one is a different type of bureaucrat. So red dragons are tax collectors. Black dragons maintain the sewers because they just acid all the waste. Blue dragons handled utilities, stuff like that. Like, I just decided that devils, I know, are the traditional bureaucrats of the D&D universe, but I was like, no, dragons. We're gonna make this weird. Brazil was the other kind of touch point for Suburbia. It's just sort of weird, and everything's got a tube for some reason. It's vaguely futury, but the past is also sort of present. Okay. Anyway, 2 minutes left. Totally worth me coming back to yell at OBS. Man, an hour. I got an hour in and it crashed, and I'm not even doing it. I don't even know why it crashed. I have 2 programs open. 3, I guess. I'm not doing anything on Discord. I have... Anyway, have a good night, everybody. I'll see you on Wednesday and hopefully next Monday as well. I hope you come back. Okay, bye.